AITA for refusing to babysit my sister's kids on my wedding day and causing a huge family fallout. I, 30M, am getting married in a few months, and it's been a long, complicated journey to get here. My fiancée, Emma, 29F, and I have been together for 5 years, and we finally decided to tie the knot this fall. We've been planning a moderately sized wedding, about 80 people, with a lot of personal touches, including a small outdoor ceremony followed by a reception at a local venue. I want it to be a day where all the important people in my life feel comfortable and happy. My sister, Lisa, 35F, is married with 3 kids, ages 2, 5, and 7. Her husband works a lot, and she's often overwhelmed with childcare, especially because they live several hours away from us, so I don't see her or the kids frequently. Over the years, I've helped babysit when she was in a pinch, but I usually only committed to a few hours here and there. A few months ago, Lisa told me she wanted to come to the wedding with her family. I was excited because despite the distance and infrequent visits, I wanted my sister and her kids to be there. I had assumed she'd bring her husband, but she informed me that her husband couldn't get time off work. She insisted she'd manage it on her own with the kids. I thought, okay, it's her family. I trust she can handle it. A couple of weeks ago, Lisa called me out of the blue with a bombshell. She said she couldn't find anyone to watch the kids for the wedding day, and she wanted me to babysit them during the ceremony and reception. She said she was really stressed and felt I was the only person she could trust to keep the kids safe and entertained while she was focused on the wedding activities. I was shocked. The wedding is a huge day for me and Emma, and I didn't want to spend it chasing after 3 kids. On top of that, babysitting 3 kids, ages 2, 5, and 7, is a lot of work, especially for an entire afternoon and evening. I told her no. I explained that the wedding day is a once-in-a-lifetime event for me, and I wanted to be fully present with my bride, family, and friends. I also told her that I wasn't a professional babysitter and didn't want the responsibility of her children for the whole day. I even offered to help her find a local babysitter or daycare, but she said that wasn't an option. Lisa got really upset and said I was being selfish and that family should support each other in times of need. She accused me of putting my wedding before my own sister's children and questioned whether I cared about her or her family at all. She said this would permanently damage our relationship if I didn't help her. I told her I cared deeply about her and the kids, but couldn't sacrifice my wedding day for babysitting duties. I said it was unfair to expect me to take on that responsibility when it's her responsibility as a parent. Our conversation ended with her saying she wouldn't come to the wedding unless I agreed to babysit. I told her that was a terrible ultimatum and that I hoped she'd reconsider. Since then, I haven't heard from her. The fallout hasn't stopped. My parents called me, upset that I wouldn't help Lisa, and they urged me to make things right by babysitting the kids or finding another way to help. They said it was important to keep the family together and that Lisa's feelings were valid. Emma's family, who are much closer to us geographically, said I shouldn't have to take care of kids on my wedding day, especially not someone else's. I'm feeling torn. On one hand, I want my sister and her family to be at the wedding. On the other hand, I want to enjoy the day without having to take care of children, especially when that responsibility falls to the parents, not the groom. I'm also worried about the damage to my relationship with Lisa and my parents because of this disagreement. So, AITA for refusing to babysit my sister's kids on my wedding day? Should I put my sister's needs above my own on the biggest day of my life? Or am I right to want to focus on my wedding and not take on childcare duties that aren't mine? Thanks for reading. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to let my sister's fiancé move into my house and causing a huge family fight. So this is going to be a long one, and it's honestly been a stressful mess that's been unfolding over the past few months. I, 33M, have always been the responsible one in my family, or at least that's how it's been portrayed. I live in a decent-sized house in the suburbs, and I work as an IT specialist. I live alone by choice after going through a rough breakup a couple of years ago, but I like my space, quiet, and routine. My sister, Emily, 29F, has been a bit of a wild card throughout our lives, always needing help with something and never really settling down. Emily started dating this guy, Ryan, 31M, about a year ago. From the beginning, I wasn't super thrilled about him, but I try to keep an open mind. Ryan's always come off as a bit entitled and didn't really seem interested in holding down a job or taking responsibility for much. Emily is the type who jumps in head first, so I figured it might be a phase. As their relationship got more serious, I noticed Ryan hanging around our family gatherings a lot, and honestly, he acted like he owned the place. Fast forward to a few months ago, Emily drops a bombshell on me. She calls and says Ryan has been having a tough time financially because his business venture failed, and they're struggling to find a place to live. She asks if Ryan could stay at my house temporarily. I was surprised. I wasn't exactly close with Ryan, and I don't know if I trust him enough to share my space, especially given how private I am. But I didn't want to upset my sister, so I told her I needed to think about it. After a few days, Emily presses me again, saying they don't have any other options, and Ryan really needs a roof over his head for a little while until he gets back on his feet. I decided to compromise and said he could stay for 2 weeks as a trial. I set strict ground rules. No overnight guests, no parties, and that he would contribute to rent and utilities. Emily assured me he would respect the rules. At first, things seemed okay. Ryan was polite enough, though I noticed he didn't look for work or try to get involved in fixing his situation. The first week passed, and then things started to go downhill. He didn't contribute financially as agreed, and I caught him inviting his friends over for drinking sessions late at night. I confronted him, and he brushed it off, saying he was stressed and needed to blow off steam. I reminded him about the rules and said this was temporary. Emily came over during this time and said I was being unreasonable and Ryan was just going through a rough patch. I told her I was trying to be fair, but needed to protect my space and sanity. She left upset, but agreed to talk to him. A week later, Ryan's behavior worsened. He was loud, left messes around the house, and didn't even attempt to get a job. I tried talking to Emily again, hoping she could put some pressure on him, but she told me to stop nagging and just be patient. I felt like I was being disrespected in my own home. Then, the worst happened. One night, I came home late from work, and the front door was wide open. Inside, the living room was trashed. Ryan and 2 of his friends had a party, and the noise was so loud neighbors had called the police. I called Emily, furious, and told her I wanted Ryan out immediately. She told me to calm down and that they needed more time. I said no. Ryan had crossed the line. Emily ended up storming over to my place to defend Ryan, and things exploded. She accused me of being selfish and not supporting her relationship. Ryan tried to act like the victim, saying I was harassing him. The argument got so heated that Emily threatened to cut off contact with me if I didn't let Ryan stay. I told her that I value my home and mental health more than an ultimatum like that. After that night, I changed the locks and told Ryan and Emily that if they wanted to visit, they had to make an appointment. Emily hasn't spoken to me since, and my parents are caught in the middle, upset that the family is tearing apart over this. Some relatives say I'm being cold and not family-oriented, while others say I'm justified for protecting my boundaries. I want to support my sister, but I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Am I really the asshole for refusing to let my sister's fiancé move in my house after he disrespected my rules and damaged my property? Or should I have just swallowed my pride for the sake of family peace? The whole situation has left me feeling drained and unsure of what to do next. AITA for refusing to help my sister financially after she asked me to pay her rent, even though our family expects me to. I, 32F, come from a working-class background, but have managed to build a stable life for myself in the city. I work full-time as a marketing manager for a mid-sized company and recently got a promotion, which increased my income significantly. I live alone in a small apartment, and while I don't have a huge salary, I budget well and live comfortably. My parents and sisters still live in our hometown, which is about 3 hours away from me. My sister, Lily, 29F, has had a very different path. She struggled with employment and financial management for years. She works part-time at a retail store and has had multiple short-lived jobs. She's also had issues with paying rent and bills on time, which led to several evictions. Because of these problems, she's been moving between friends' couches and sometimes staying with my parents. I've always helped when I could, usually by giving her groceries, clothes, or a small amount of money when she was in crisis. A couple of months ago, Lily called me in tears, saying she had been evicted again and was behind on rent for the next apartment she had lined up. She asked me directly if I could help by paying her rent for 2 months so she could get back on her feet. I was shocked and upset because I have my own financial responsibilities, bills, savings for emergencies, and paying off student loans. Also, I was concerned that giving her a large sum of money to cover rent would just enable her not to address the underlying problems. I told her honestly that I couldn't afford to pay her rent and that she needed to find more sustainable solutions. I offered to help her look for assistance programs, affordable housing, and job resources, but I refused to give her money to cover rent. She became very angry and accused me of being selfish and abandoning family. She said it was my responsibility as the eldest sibling and because I had a better income. Our parents have always been the type to bail Lily out financially. They pay her cell phone bill, help with groceries, and have even paid rent in the past. When I told them I wouldn't pay Lily's rent, they were upset and said I was being cold and not supporting family. They also said that since I was financially stable, I should be helping her out. I tried explaining that enabling her without addressing her money management wouldn't solve the problem and might make it worse. This caused tension at family gatherings. My parents and Lily make comments about how successful I am and how ungrateful I am for not helping. Lily even said she doesn't want to speak to me anymore because I'm not family. I feel guilty because I don't want to alienate my sister or cause family drama. But I also feel that my financial boundaries are important. Recently, Lily reached out again, saying she might be homeless soon and begging for rent money. I told her firmly that my answer hadn't changed and that she needed to seek local social services and work on budgeting and employment. I also offered to help her with resumes and job applications. She reacted harshly, calling me a terrible sister and saying I only care about money. Friends and coworkers have given me mixed reactions. Some say I'm doing the right thing by setting boundaries and not enabling harmful behavior. Others say family should help each other unconditionally, especially in crisis. So, AITA for refusing to pay my sister's rent even though my family says I should, and she's currently struggling? AITA for refusing to cover my brother's wedding costs even though he's struggling financially and says I'm family? So this is a long one, and I'm really conflicted about whether I'm in the wrong or not. I'm 31F, and my younger brother, Jake, is 28. We grew up pretty close, though our personalities are very different. I've always been more responsible and independent, working hard to build my career and live within my means. Jake, on the other hand, has had a much tougher time holding steady jobs and managing money. Our parents have helped him a lot over the years, but he still struggles financially. Recently, Jake got engaged to his girlfriend, and they've started planning their wedding. They want a decent-sized ceremony, about 100 guests, and they've estimated the total cost will be around $25,000. Here's where the problem begins. Jake came to me and told me that he was really worried about covering the expenses. He said his savings were practically non-existent and that his job wasn't steady enough to contribute much. Then he bluntly asked if I could help cover a significant portion of the costs. He mentioned $10,000 as a starting point. He said, "You're family, and I know you've been doing well. I really need your help to make this wedding happen." I was taken aback. $10,000 is a lot of money, and while I do have savings, I'm currently saving for a down payment on a house and trying to build some financial security for myself. I told Jake that I sympathize with the situation, but that I just can't afford to give him that much money without jeopardizing my own plans. I offered to help with smaller things, like helping him find vendors, coordinating logistics, or even contributing a few $100s, but that's all I could do. Jake didn't take it well. He got visibly upset and said I was being selfish and that family helps each other in times like this. He accused me of thinking only about myself and not supporting him or his future wife. He also told me that if I wasn't willing to step up, I was effectively sabotaging his wedding and that maybe I didn't care about our family as much as I claimed. Since then, things have gotten tense. Jake has been distant, barely speaking to me except to guilt-trip me about money. He's told our parents I'm refusing to help, and they've somewhat sided with him, saying I should do more as a sister. My parents are well off and have helped Jake before, but they also understand my position and haven't pressured me to give money. I do feel bad that Jake and his fiancée might have to scale back their wedding plans or find other ways to fund the event, but I also feel like I'm not obligated to put my financial goals on hold to bail him out. I've worked hard for my money, and I have my own priorities. There's also the fact that Jake hasn't really tried to save or budget carefully himself. He's made some questionable spending decisions in the past, and it feels like I'm being asked to fix a problem that's partially of his own making. Last weekend, we had a family dinner, and the topic came up again. Jake confronted me in front of everyone, saying I was the black sheep for not supporting him. I calmly explained my reasons and said I hoped he understood. Some family members nodded in agreement, while others looked uncomfortable. The whole thing ended with Jake storming out. I want to support my brother and have a good relationship, but I can't shake the feeling that his expectations are unfair. At the same time, I worry I might be coming off as cold or uncaring. So, AITA for refusing to give my brother $10,000 for his wedding when he says he really needs help and that family should support each other. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her new husband. This might be long, but here's the full story. I, 28F, come from a close-knit family. My parents have been married for 35 years, and my sister, Emma, 30F, has always been a big part of my life. We were inseparable growing up, sharing everything, from clothes to secrets. We moved out of our hometown for college, but even then, we made an effort to keep in touch and spend holidays together. Recently, though, things changed drastically, and I'm starting to question everything about our relationship. Emma met a guy named Derek about a year and a half ago. From the beginning, I wasn't a huge fan. It wasn't just some petty sibling jealousy. I had genuine concerns. Derek was pushy, arrogant, and borderline manipulative in subtle ways. I noticed how he controlled conversations, especially when Emma tried to bring up things she cared about, and how he would subtly belittle her when no one else was looking. At first, I tried to overlook it because I wanted my sister to be happy, and I hoped my initial impressions were wrong. Over time, though, things got worse. Emma started changing, not in a good way. She became more distant from family and friends, always making excuses to skip gatherings or leaving early. When we did talk, Derek was always present, interrupting or speaking over her. I tried to have conversations with Emma about it, but she always shut me down. She insisted that Derek was just protective and that I was overreacting. The breaking point came when Emma got engaged. The news was sudden, and my parents were ecstatic. They started planning the wedding immediately. I, however, was conflicted. I asked Emma if she was sure about Derek, but she brushed me off, telling me to stop being negative and to support her. I tried to be supportive, but I also told her that I wasn't comfortable around Derek and that I wasn't sure I wanted to be part of the wedding if he was going to be involved. She reacted badly. Emma accused me of being selfish and not caring about her happiness. Our conversations became arguments, and I realized she was already defending Derek no matter what I said. I decided to take a step back and focus on myself for a while. Then came the invitation to the wedding. It was a huge event, and everyone was invited except me. My parents were upset, but said they understood Emma's wishes. They told me they hoped I would reconsider and come, but that they couldn't force Emma to include me. I felt devastated and confused. I wasn't even officially uninvited, but it was clear I wasn't welcome. Fast forward to 2 weeks before the wedding. Emma called me, furious, demanding that I confirm my attendance. She said that if I didn't come, I was breaking the family and ruining her special day. I explained calmly that I couldn't support her choice to marry Derek and that being at the wedding would be unbearable for me. She told me I was being dramatic and selfish again and that she didn't want to talk to me anymore if I wouldn't respect her decision. I told her I wouldn't be attending, and I haven't spoken to her since. My parents are caught in the middle and upset at both of us. My friends say I'm being cold and unsupportive, that I should put my feelings aside for one day. But I feel like this is about more than just a wedding. It's about my sister choosing someone who I believe is toxic and harmful, and her shutting me out when I try to warn her. I don't want to pretend everything is okay when it's not. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her new husband? Or am I justified in protecting myself and standing by my concerns, even if it means losing a sister? AITA for refusing to take back my ex who cheated on me, and now my family is furious with me for it? This is a long and complicated story that's been unfolding over the past year, and honestly, I'm really torn about whether I'm the asshole or not. I'm 29F and was in a relationship with my ex, Mark, 31M, for almost 5 years. We met in college, moved in together 2 years ago, and I honestly thought we were happy. About a year ago, I found out that Mark had been cheating on me. It wasn't just a one-time thing. He'd been seeing someone else for months. I discovered it completely by accident when I saw texts on his phone from another woman. When I confronted him, he admitted it and begged for forgiveness. He said it was a mistake, that he was feeling lost and stressed, but that he still loved me and wanted to work through it. At the time, I was devastated but still loved him deeply. I considered trying to make things work, and for a short time, I agreed to give him another chance, but only on the condition that he attend couples therapy and be completely honest. We started therapy, but the trust was already broken, and despite his promises, I felt like he was hiding things. Eventually, I decided I couldn't do it anymore, and I ended the relationship for good. That's when the real drama started. My family, especially my parents and older brother, have been relentless in telling me I should take him back. They say everyone makes mistakes, that I'm too stubborn, and that I'm throwing away years of history over what could have been fixed. They believe that Mark's cheating was a moment of weakness and that I should forgive him because he seems genuinely sorry. They've been pressuring me constantly, calling me, messaging me, even showing up unannounced at my place to talk things through. My mom cried and told me how she raised me to be compassionate and forgiving, and my dad said that relationships take work and sacrifice. My brother has been more blunt, telling me I'm making a huge mistake and that I'm letting anger and pride ruin my chances at happiness. What's worse, Mark himself has been trying to get back with me. He sends messages, calls, and even showed up at my work once to apologize. I made it very clear I don't want to get back together and need space. Still, he and my family keep pushing. I have my own reasons for not wanting to take him back beyond just the cheating. The betrayal hurt my self-esteem, and I don't trust him anymore. I've tried to move on, focusing on my career, therapy, and friends, but the constant pressure from everyone is making it really difficult. Some of my friends have told me to stand my ground, but others suggest maybe I should consider forgiving Mark for the sake of the long relationship we had. I'm feeling really isolated and guilty because it feels like I'm disappointing the people who love me. To add more context, Mark's cheating wasn't just emotional, it was physical. He never showed any remorse beyond the initial apologies. And sometimes I wonder if he's just using the situation to get back to the comfortable life we had. I don't think I would ever trust him again fully. My family keeps telling me that love means forgiving, that no relationship is perfect, and that if I truly loved Mark, I would find it in my heart to give him a second chance. I feel like my feelings and boundaries are being completely dismissed. I'm scared that by standing firm, I might lose my family's support or damage those relationships permanently. But I also don't want to go back to a relationship that caused me so much pain and doubt. So, AITA for refusing to take back my cheating ex, even though my family thinks I should forgive him and give the relationship another shot. AITA for refusing to give my sister's husband a kidney, even though he's my only living relative who needs one. So this is a long one. I, 33M, have a complicated relationship with my family, and it's been particularly rough lately because of some kidney transplant stuff. I want to lay out everything so you can get the full picture and hopefully understand where I'm coming from. A little background first. I'm an only child, and my parents passed away a few years ago. I'm pretty close with my sister, 30F, but our relationship has always been a little rocky because of her husband. Let's call him Mike, 35M. Mike has a pretty serious medical history, including kidney failure. He's been on dialysis for the past year, and the doctors have told him he really needs a transplant if he wants to have any decent quality of life going forward. Here's where it gets complicated. Because of how rare and complicated the donor matching is, the doctors told Mike he needs a kidney from a living donor who's a close match. Ideally, that means a sibling or close relative, but since I'm his only living relative, he and my sister don't have kids, I'm the primary option for the transplant. At first, I was willing to consider it because it's my sister's husband, and even though I don't have a ton of affection for Mike, I get that it's serious and he needs help. But as things progressed, I started to feel a lot of pressure from my sister, my extended family, and even the doctors to do the right thing and donate my kidney. The problem is that I'm terrified of the surgery and the long-term risks involved. I've done a ton of research, and while kidney donation is generally safe, there are still risks like infection, chronic pain, and potential kidney failure down the line. I got a pretty stressful job and a life that depends on me being physically capable. On top of that, I'm not exactly close with Mike. He's been a source of tension between me and my sister for years, and frankly, I don't think he's the kind of person who deserves this level of sacrifice for me. When I told my sister and the rest of the family, I wasn't sure if I could go through with it. They flipped out. They accused me of being selfish, cold-hearted, and even said I was risking Mike's life by not stepping up. My sister broke down crying, telling me that this was literally a matter of life and death, and that if I didn't do it, no one else could. To make things worse, Mike started avoiding me completely after I hesitated about the donation. It's like he resents me for even thinking about saying no. Meanwhile, my sister keeps messaging me nonstop, guilt-tripping me about how I'm letting the family down. Even my parents' friends have gotten involved, telling me I should be ashamed of myself for not helping. I'm stuck in this impossible spot. I don't want to see Mike suffer, but I also can't shake this feeling that I'm being pressured into a life-changing surgery for someone I barely get along with and who might not even appreciate it. I tried explaining this to my sister, but she just cries and says I don't care about her or Mike's health. At this point, I'm seriously considering walking away from the whole situation to protect my own health and sanity, but I'm worried about how this will affect my relationship with my sister and the rest of the family. I don't want to be the bad guy here, but I'm also not willing to risk my own well-being for someone I don't even really like. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to donate my kidney to my sister's husband, even though he's my only living relative who needs one? Or am I justified in protecting myself here? AITA for refusing to apologize after my sister accused me of ruining her wedding because I didn't want to lie to her about her cheating fiancé. This all started about a year ago, and honestly, I'm still reeling from the fallout. My sister, Emma, has always been the golden child in our family. She's charismatic, beautiful, and has this way of making people feel like the center of her universe. I love her, but we've never really been close beyond surface-level stuff. I'm more introverted and blunt, while she thrives on drama and being the life of the party. We weren't exactly the sisters who shared secrets or leaned on each other for emotional support. So, when Emma got engaged to her fiancé, Mark, I was happy for her. I didn't know much about Mark except that he seemed charming and they looked great together. I wanted to be supportive because weddings are a big deal, and despite our differences, I wanted her big day to be special. Fast forward to a few months before the wedding. I was working late one night and happened to get a message on my phone from an unknown number. It was a picture of Mark, clearly with another woman in a very intimate setting, nothing ambiguous about it. The photo was sent with a message that said something like, "I'm so sorry you had to find out this way." I was shocked. I didn't want to believe it at first, but the photo was crystal clear. I didn't want to jump to conclusions or ruin my sister's happiness, so I decided to gather more information before saying anything. I started watching Mark more closely and even asked some mutual acquaintances discreetly. It turned out the woman in the picture was someone he'd been seeing for months on the side. Emma had absolutely no idea. I struggled with what to do. Part of me wanted to confront Emma immediately, but I also thought maybe it wasn't real, or maybe it was a one-time mistake. The other part of me was terrified that telling her would destroy her dream wedding and break her heart. After weeks of agonizing, I told my closest friend what was going on, and she advised me to be honest with Emma, no matter how hard it would be. When I finally told Emma, She refused to believe me. She accused me of making it up to sabotage her relationship because, in her mind, I was always jealous of her. She got angry and said I was trying to ruin the happiest time of her life. I insisted that I had proof and showed her the photo. She still didn't want to accept it and said I was trying to bully her with lies. The tension between us exploded. She told our parents, and they sided with her, saying I was being unnecessarily dramatic and that if I wanted to be part of the family, I should back off and trust Emma's judgment. Emma pushed the wedding date up to avoid more family drama and cut off all communication with me. On the day of the wedding, Mark seemed perfect as always. Emma was glowing, happy, and surrounded by friends and family who adored her. I wanted to be there for her, but I was torn between celebrating and the knowledge that she was marrying a liar and cheater. I stayed home, and word got around that I wasn't attending because I was toxic and disruptive. Then came the shocker. A few weeks after the wedding, Mark's other girlfriend came forward publicly on social media with screenshots, texts, and pictures that confirmed he'd been leading a double life. Emma was devastated. She was humiliated and angry, but she also started to question why no one had told her sooner. Our family turned on me again, but this time because I didn't support Emma enough during the fallout. They said I should have been there for her, helped her through it, and not held a grudge for being ignored at the wedding. Emma personally told me I was cold and heartless for not showing up and supporting her when she needed me most. I don't regret telling Emma the truth, but I don't think I should have had to apologize for it. I told her because I cared, not to ruin her life. But now, I'm basically cut out of the family and constantly accused of being the villain. I just want to know, AITA for refusing to apologize to my sister after she accused me of ruining her wedding by telling her the truth about her fiancé? Or should I have stayed quiet for the sake of peace and family unity? Hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for telling my sister she can't bring her new boyfriend to our family reunion after he ghosted me for months. This whole situation started about 6 months ago, and honestly, I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. I, 29F, have always been the one who keeps our family connected. My sister, Sarah, 27F, is more of a free spirit and tends to bounce in and out of family events, but I always manage to get her on board for our big family reunions. About 7 months ago, Sarah introduced me to her new boyfriend, Mark. He seemed nice enough, charming, funny, and attentive. We met at a casual dinner at Sarah's place, and I thought we got along well. After that night, I didn't hear from him again, which was odd because Sarah said he wanted to get to know me better. I tried reaching out a few times over the next couple of months. I sent him texts asking if he wanted to hang out or just chat to get to know each other better, especially since we'd all be spending a lot of time together at the upcoming family reunion. Every message I sent was ignored. Not even a sorry, busy, or anything. Just radio silence. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe he was busy or not a big texter. But the silence kept going, and it started feeling intentional. Sarah insisted that Mark was just shy or overwhelmed, but she also admitted she didn't have a great relationship with him herself, even though they'd been dating for about 8 months at this point. Fast forward to the week before the reunion, I finally had it with the ghosting. I told Sarah I didn't think it was right for him to come if he wasn't even willing to make an effort to get to know the family or communicate with me. I explained that I was uncomfortable with him coming to an event where I'd be hosting and expected to engage with him. Sarah got really defensive and said I was overreacting and that he's a good guy who just needed time. The day of the reunion arrives. I'd sent out the invites, made the plans, booked the cabin, and coordinated everything. Sarah shows up with Mark. I told her before she walked in that I didn't want him there. She got upset, said I was ruining the family event, and stormed off inside with him. Once inside, it became clear Mark was trying to avoid me. I kept running into him by accident, and each time, he would either look away or pretend he didn't see me. At one point, I asked him directly why he had been ghosting me, and he finally snapped, saying, "Why should I waste my time pretending to like you when I don't?" The whole family got uncomfortable. Sarah confronted me, saying I was picking fights and that Mark was just awkward, but I honestly think he was being rude and disrespectful on purpose. I asked Sarah why she would bring someone who clearly didn't want to be part of the family gathering, and she accused me of playing favorites and trying to control who she brings. Things escalated to the point where Sarah stopped talking to me altogether during the reunion, and Mark basically ignored everyone but her. The rest of the family seemed torn. Some agreed with me that Mark's behavior was immature, but others thought I was being harsh and that Sarah should have her boyfriend there no matter what. Since the reunion, Sarah has been cold and distant. She's accused me of sabotaging her relationship and told other family members I'm being unreasonable. Meanwhile, I'm stuck feeling like I'm the bad guy for setting boundaries about who I want at the event I organize. So, AITA for telling my sister that her boyfriend, who ghosted me for months and was openly rude at the reunion, wasn't welcome at our family gathering? Or should I have just kept quiet and let him come despite his disrespectful behavior? AITA for refusing to pretend my husband's affair didn't happen and still supporting him publicly? This has been weighing on me for months now, and I honestly don't know if I'm the asshole in this situation or not. I'm 34F, married to Chris, 36M, for 8 years. We have 2 kids, ages 5 and 3. Our life seemed pretty stable and happy on the outside, but everything fell apart about 6 months ago when I discovered that Chris had been having an affair for over a year. To give some context, I work full-time in a demanding job, and Chris runs his own small business. We both travel occasionally for work, but try to keep our family life a priority. About 6 months ago, I noticed Chris was acting distant and secretive. I found messages on his phone with a woman I didn't know, and after some confrontation, he confessed everything. He admitted to a year-long affair with a coworker who lives in a nearby city. I was devastated. Chris apologized repeatedly, saying he made a terrible mistake and that he wants to work through it and rebuild our marriage. After a long emotional breakdown and a few sessions of couple therapy, I decided to stay with him for the sake of our kids and because, deep down, I still loved him and hoped we could repair things. However, here's where the conflict started. Chris insisted that we keep the affair a secret from everyone. Family, friends, even our closest circle. He said it would be too embarrassing and damaging if people found out. I agreed at first because I didn't want to drag the kids into drama or have gossip around town. But as time passed, I started feeling like I was living a lie. I'm close with many of my friends and family, and pretending that nothing happened feels suffocating. They noticed a change in me, and some have even gently asked if everything is okay in my marriage. I wanted to be honest, but also respect Chris's wishes. The breaking point came a few weeks ago when we attended a big family event. Chris acted completely normal, joking and socializing like nothing happened. Meanwhile, I was sitting there carrying all this pain inside. A close cousin approached me privately and said she suspected something was wrong and urged me to be honest. I tried to brush it off, but it broke me down. I told Chris I couldn't keep pretending anymore and that I needed to be open with at least a few people to get the support I need. I proposed telling my immediate family first and slowly opening up if I felt comfortable. Chris freaked out and accused me of wanting to humiliate him and ruin what little trust we were rebuilding. He said if I went behind his back, it would destroy our chances of saving our marriage. Our arguments have escalated, and now the whole family is involved. Some sides with me, saying I deserve to be honest and seek support, while others back Chris, saying that privacy is important and that airing dirty laundry only makes things worse. Chris also told me that if I can't respect his wish to keep this private, maybe I'm not as committed to saving our marriage as I say I am. I feel trapped because I want to heal and rebuild, but not at the cost of sacrificing my emotional well-being by carrying this burden alone. I've been seeing a therapist on my own to cope, but it's not the same as having people around who know and can help. I want to be there for my kids and have a stable home, but I also don't want to live a lie or pretend my marriage is perfect when it's not. So, AITA for refusing to pretend the affair didn't happen and wanting to be honest with family about what's going on, even though my husband wants to keep it secret. AITA for refusing to take care of my sister's kids on short notice and causing a huge family blowout. This has been weighing on me for months now, and I'm still stuck wondering if I was in the wrong here. It all started last winter during the holiday season. I, 32M, have a younger sister, Amy, 28F, who has always had a bit of a chaotic lifestyle. She has 2 kids, ages 4 and 6, with her ex-husband, who is out of the picture for good now. Amy works part-time and mostly relies on various friends and family to help watch the kids because daycare costs are crazy where we live. I've always been close to my sister, but I'm not really a kid person. I like my niece and nephew, but I'm not comfortable taking care of them for long stretches or on short notice. About 6 months ago, Amy called me out of the blue one evening around 7 p.m., completely frantic. She had a last-minute work emergency and needed someone to watch the kids overnight because her babysitter canceled at the last minute. She begged me to come over and help because she didn't know what else to do. I had just gotten home from work and was exhausted. I told her I wasn't prepared for this and that I had a lot of work to finish that night too. She got upset, saying I was the only family she could rely on, and if I didn't help, she'd have to call CPS or figure something worse out. I told her I was sorry, but it was too short notice, and I wasn't comfortable taking care of them overnight like that. She ended up calling my parents, who then called me too, pressuring me to help. My parents guilt-tripped me, saying how Amy was struggling and how families should support each other, especially in tough times. I felt torn but stood my ground because I honestly didn't want to be responsible for the kids overnight without preparation. I offered to help the next day when I could be better prepared, but they all insisted it was too late by then. Amy got furious and told me I didn't care about her or her kids. She said if I wasn't willing to step up, maybe I wasn't really family. I ended up blocking her calls because the guilt was overwhelming and I couldn't handle the emotional roller coaster she put me on. Since then, there's been a cold war between me and Amy. Our parents tried to mediate, saying I should at least help occasionally, but I feel like what she asked was unreasonable, especially on such short notice and with no prior discussion. I have a demanding job, and I'm not equipped for sudden overnight childcare. I also don't want to get blamed if something happens while I'm watching them, because I'm not used to it. Amy's friends have started taking her side publicly on social media, accusing me of being a selfish uncle and a bad brother. My parents have stopped inviting me to family events because they say I'm causing drama. I've lost other relative support, and attention has spilled into holidays and birthdays. My partner thinks I should have been more understanding and at least try to help once, but I worry that doing so would just set a precedent for more last-minute demands. I want to help Amy, but on my terms and with proper notice and preparation. I don't think it's fair for her to guilt-trip me or involve others to pressure me into something I'm uncomfortable with. Was I the asshole for refusing to watch my sister's kids on short notice? Should I have dropped everything to help her despite feeling unprepared and overwhelmed? Or was Amy unreasonable to expect me to take on that responsibility without warning? I'm genuinely confused about where I stand in all this. AITA for telling my sister she can't bring her new boyfriend to our family Thanksgiving dinner after everything he did last year? So, here's the situation. I, 32F, have a younger sister, Emma, 28F. We're pretty close, and every year our family gets together for Thanksgiving at my parents' house. It's kind of a big deal for us because it's one of the few times everyone is together, and my mom really goes all out with cooking and decorating. Last year, Emma showed up with a new boyfriend, Matt. We didn't know much about him at the time, but within the night, things got complicated. To give some background, my family is quite traditional and a bit old-fashioned. We're not super strict, but there's an unspoken expectation to behave respectfully, especially at these family gatherings. Everyone tends to avoid heavy topics or arguments during Thanksgiving because it's supposed to be about family bonding. When Matt arrived last year, he seemed fine at first, polite, well-spoken, and charming enough. But as the night went on, it became clear he wasn't really interested in being part of the family vibe. Instead, he kept making snide comments about my parents' food, which was all homemade, the decorations, and even tried to start a political debate with my uncle, who is very vocal about his conservative views. The political debate turned into a full-blown argument, with Matt basically insulting my uncle's beliefs and calling him out of touch. This made the whole table uncomfortable, and my uncle was visibly upset. My mom tried to steer the conversation back to neutral topics, but Matt kept pushing. Later on, Matt decided it was a good idea to pull out his phone and loudly play a podcast that was extremely controversial, with some offensive language. He ignored everyone's discomfort and seemed to want to provoke a reaction. Several family members asked him to stop, but he didn't care. The last straw was when Matt grabbed a plate of food from the kitchen and accidentally dropped it, spilling gravy and mashed potatoes all over the floor. Instead of apologizing or helping clean up, he shrugged it off and made a joke about how messy traditions are dumb. My mom was mortified, and I was honestly furious. After that, Emma apologized on his behalf and tried to smooth things over, but the damage was done. The night ended awkwardly, and many family members left earlier than usual. My parents were visibly upset, and there was a general sense of disappointment about how the evening went. Fast forward to this year. Emma told me she wanted to bring Matt again to Thanksgiving. I immediately told her I was uncomfortable with that because of what happened last year. I explained that his behavior was disrespectful, disruptive, and frankly rude to everyone. I also said that Thanksgiving is important to our family, and I don't want to relive last year's chaos. Emma got really defensive and accused me of being controlling and unfair. She said Matt has changed and that I'm judging him without giving him a chance. She also said I'm trying to control who she brings to the family gathering and that it's her choice. I understand that it's her relationship and she should make her own decisions, but I also feel like I have a right to protect the family space. I suggested maybe Emma and Matt could come over for a different occasion or meet the family in a more casual setting before bringing him to the big event. She said that's unreasonable and that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. My parents are caught in the middle. They want to keep the peace, but also don't want to repeat last year's problems. They've asked me to try to be more welcoming, but I don't think I can pretend last year didn't happen or ignore how Matt treated everyone. So, Reddit. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she can't bring her boyfriend to Thanksgiving after everything that went down last year? Should I just let it go and give him another chance? Or am I justified in trying to keep the family gathering peaceful? Thanks in advance for your thoughts. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her new fiancé? This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. I, 28F, have always been close with my sister, 32F. We grew up in a pretty tight-knit family, and for most of our lives, we were best friends. We shared everything from clothes to secrets to holidays. But over the last year, things have gotten complicated. About a year ago, my sister started dating this guy, Mark 35M. At first, I didn't think much of it. She's dated plenty of people before and usually moved on quickly. But Mark stuck around, and they got serious pretty fast. He moved in with her, and about 6 months ago, they announced their engagement. That's when I started noticing red flags. Mark is, honestly, kind of jerk. He's very controlling of my sister, telling her what to wear, who she can see, even how to decorate her own house. My sister seemed to brush it off, saying he just cares about her, and she was happy. But I saw her getting distant from all her old friends and even from me. She stopped inviting me over like she used to, and when I asked, she said Mark preferred to keep their space private. I shrugged it off, hoping it was just a phase. Then the wedding planning started, and things got worse. My sister told me the wedding would be small and intimate, just family and a few close friends. She said Mark wanted a private ceremony. Fine. But then she started asking me to help with things she never usually cared about, like seating arrangements, color schemes, and picking flowers. I agreed because I love her and wanted to support her. What caught me off guard was the guest list. Mark insisted that most of his friends be invited, people I'd never met, and honestly, people who didn't seem like the kind of crowd my family usually hangs out with. When I expressed concern that it was getting bigger than she initially said, she got defensive and said, "It's our wedding, not yours. Mark's friends are important to me now." That hurt, but I kept my mouth shut. Then came the day she asked me to invite our parents' side of the family. Our parents are divorced and don't get along, but usually at big family events, we manage some kind of truce. I agreed to send invitations to both sides, but then Mark found out and freaked out. He said it would cause drama and that his wedding won't be a circus. He wanted to uninvite some of our relatives, including my father, whom he barely knows. I told my sister that excluding family was a bad idea. Family means a lot to me, and I couldn't see why our wedding should exclude anyone who mattered to us. That's when things escalated. My sister told me that if I wanted to bring my father, then I wasn't welcome at all. She said Mark's family has no problem with excluding my dad and that I should respect their wishes. I was stunned. My dad isn't perfect, but he's a good person, and I couldn't understand why my sister would throw him under the bus just to please Mark. I told her I wouldn't be attending the wedding if my dad was excluded and if Mark was going to treat our family like outsiders. She accused me of being selfish and making the wedding all about me. She said that since I was so stuck in the past and couldn't accept Mark, maybe I wasn't really family anymore. We haven't talked much since then. The wedding is in 2 weeks, and I still haven't been formally invited, even though I've been helping with the planning. I'm standing firm. I won't attend unless my dad and other close family are welcomed. My parents and siblings are split on this. Some say I should just suck it up for my sister's sake. Others agree that Mark is being controlling and that my sister should stand up for her family. My friends are divided too. Some say I'm overreacting and should go to the wedding to support my sister regardless of Mark. Others think I'm justified in protecting my family and my values. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her new fiancé's demands to exclude parts of our family? Or am I being unreasonable and holding on to the past? AITA for refusing to help my sister with her wedding after she excluded me from the planning and now expects me to pay for part of it? So, this is a long one, and I'm still pretty upset about the whole situation. I'll try to keep it as clear as possible. For context, I'm 29F, and my sister, 32F, is getting married in a few months. We've always had a rocky relationship. Lots of sibling rivalry growing up, but things were decent enough in the last few years. We weren't super close, but there was a level of respect and occasional family gatherings where we got along okay. About 6 months ago, my sister got engaged, and her fiancé is pretty well off. Right away, I was excited for her and offered to help in any way I could with the wedding planning. She politely declined, saying she and her fiancé wanted to handle it themselves. I thought, okay, fair enough. As time went on, I noticed that none of the family was involved in the planning or decision-making. My parents, who traditionally help with weddings, were mostly left out, too. It seemed like my sister and her fiancé had a very specific vision for the wedding and wanted to do it their way. I didn't pry much, but I felt a little hurt because I wanted to be a part of it, not necessarily to control things, but just to share the excitement and be supportive. When I asked my sister if I could be a bridesmaid or help with something small, she said the bridal party was already chosen and there wasn't really a role for me. That stung, but again, I try to let it go. Fast forward to last month. My sister calls me out of the blue, sounding stressed. She says that the wedding costs have become much higher than expected, and even though her fiancé is paying for most of it, there are some expenses she wants family to chip in for, especially for me and my parents. She mentions things like the rehearsal dinner, some decorations, and gifts for the wedding party. I was shocked. This was the first I was hearing about any expectation for me to contribute financially. I told her I wasn't planning on helping pay because I wasn't involved in any planning or decisions, and I felt uncomfortable contributing to things I had no say in. Also, it felt unfair since she had excluded me from everything so far. She got upset and said that family should support each other, especially during big life events like weddings. She said I was being selfish and not treating this like a family celebration. She also reminded me that my parents were being asked to help, so I should too. I spoke to my parents, and they said they were willing to help a little, but didn't want to be taken advantage of, especially since my sister had shut them out of planning. They felt like she was being a bit controlling and wanted everything done her way. I told my sister we could discuss things if she wanted to include me more or ask for help in a way that felt more respectful, but I wasn't just going to write a check without any involvement. She responded by cutting me out completely. She hasn't returned my calls or texts, and now the family dynamic is tense. Everyone is taking sides to some extent, but most seem to think I should just give in and pay for my part since it's her big day. I am torn. On one hand, I want my sister to have a beautiful wedding, and I want to support her. On the other hand, I don't want to be treated like a bank or ignored until money is needed. AITA for refusing to help pay for parts of my sister's wedding after she excluded me from the planning and expected me to contribute financially. AITA for refusing to babysit my sister's kids because she didn't respect my boundaries and lied about how long I'd have to watch them. So I, 32F, have a younger sister, Emily, 28F, who has two kids, Jack, 6, and Lily, 3. Emily is a single mom, and while I don't live far from her, we have very different lifestyles. I work full-time in a demanding job, and in my free time, I value my personal space and downtime. I'm not a fan of kids in general, not because I dislike my niece and nephew, but because I find the constant chaos and noise draining. I have told Emily this multiple times, and she has always known that I'm not the best babysitter. For that reason, I usually don't babysit for more than a couple of hours if I do at all. Emily has had a tough time balancing work and parenting, so she sometimes asks me to watch the kids. Usually, she's upfront about how long it will be, and I only agree if I know it won't be too long or overwhelming. A few months ago, she asked me to watch the kids for an evening because she had to attend a work event. She said it would be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., which I agreed to because it felt manageable. When I arrived, she dropped the kids off and left, but at 9 p.m., she was nowhere to be found. I called her, and she said her event was running late, but would be home soon. 2 hours later, still no Emily. The kids were tired and cranky, and I was exhausted. She finally got home around midnight. I was really frustrated and told her she needed to be clearer and respect the time. She said she'd be back. Since then, I've been much more hesitant to babysit. I told Emily she could ask, but I needed precise plans, and I couldn't do late nights or anything more than a few hours. She seemed to accept that, but last weekend things escalated. Emily texted me Friday morning asking if I could watch Jack and Lily on Saturday from noon to 5 p.m. because she had to work a double shift. I agreed because it was a Saturday, and 5 hours felt doable. She didn't give me any other details. On Saturday morning, she called and said she had to drop the kids off at 11 a.m. instead of noon because her shift started earlier. I told her that was fine, but I expected to be done by 4 p.m. then, and she agreed. When I got to her place at 11 a.m., she rushed out, barely saying goodbye to the kids. She gave me a quick rundown of their usual schedule and reminded me about Jack's allergies. I felt prepared and confident I could manage for 5 hours. A little after 3 p.m., Emily called me saying her shift was over and she was on her way home. I thought, great, just an hour left. Then, 4 p.m. came, no Emily. I called her, and she said her ride got delayed, but she'd be there soon. I waited and texted her again at 4:30, no response. At 5 p.m., I was starting to panic because Lily had a fever and Jack was getting restless. I called Emily again, and finally she answered, apologizing profusely, but said her ride was stuck and she couldn't get away. I told her this was really unfair because I had plans after 5 p.m. and I was not prepared to babysit all day or longer. She said she was trying her best and asked me to please hang on for another hour. By 6 p.m., I was overwhelmed. The kids were fighting, Lily was burning up, and I hadn't had a break. I messaged Emily and said I couldn't do it anymore and asked her to get someone else or come home. She didn't answer for 20 minutes. In the meantime, Lily threw up, and Jack started crying because he was hungry. I managed to calm them down and called a neighbor to help me get Lily to a doctor since her fever was worsening. Emily finally showed up at 7 p.m., looking stressed and exhausted. She thanked me for watching the kids, but immediately started complaining about how hard her job was and how I should be more understanding. I told her that I was not her backup plan and that she had lied about the timing again. I also pointed out that she didn't check in or communicate properly, which put me in a really tough spot. She accused me of overreacting and said I should be more supportive as her sister. I stood my ground, saying I had limits, and those need to be respected. Now, Emily is barely speaking to me and has been posting on social media about how she can't count on her family, hinting that I abandoned her when she needed help. Some friends are saying I should have just stuck it out and help because family comes first. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to babysit when Emily keeps pushing boundaries, lying about timing, and not respecting my limits? Or should I have been more understanding? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her choice to exclude my daughter? So, this is going to be a long one, and I'm still trying to process everything, but here it goes. I, 38F, have a daughter, Emma, who is 8 years old and has severe food allergies. She's allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, and sesame, which means we have to be extremely careful about what she eats, especially when we're out or at events. My sister, Lisa, 35F, has always been very particular about her lifestyle and choices, and we have a complicated history, but I've always tried to keep the peace for Emma's sake. Lisa got engaged about a year ago, and the wedding planning started soon after. Initially, I was excited and supportive, although I have to admit I was a little worried because Lisa and I have very different ideas about family and children. Lisa never wanted kids, and she has always been vocal about her dislike for children in general. I hope she would be able to set those feelings aside for the wedding, especially since it was a family event. As the planning progressed, I started noticing that Lisa was making some unusual decisions regarding the guest list and wedding logistics. First, she told me that she wanted the ceremony to be kid-free, which I found a little harsh, but was willing to accept because I thought it meant no kids running around during the ceremony. However, when I asked about Emma specifically, Lisa said she didn't want any children at the reception either. I explained Emma's allergies and how challenging it can be for her to be around food she can't eat, but also how important it was for her to be included in family events. Lisa was unapologetic. She said she didn't want to deal with the hassle of Emma's allergies and was concerned that the wedding menu wouldn't be safe or accommodating enough. She even suggested that Emma could be dropped off at a babysitter for the day, but I pointed out that Emma's allergies require constant vigilance, and I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving her with anyone who wasn't trained or aware of the risks. The situation got worse when Lisa sent out invitations explicitly stating that no children were allowed. My parents and other family members tried to mediate, suggesting that maybe Emma could attend only the ceremony or a portion of the reception, but Lisa was firm. She wanted a child-free wedding, no exceptions. At this point, I was feeling hurt and angry. Emma is my daughter, and she's part of the family. Excluding her because of her allergies and Lisa's personal feelings about kids felt wrong and cruel. I told Lisa that I wasn't going to attend the wedding if Emma wasn't welcome, but she said it was her day and that I was being unreasonable. I tried to find compromises, like bringing Emma and managing her meals ourselves or arranging for a separate table with allergy-safe food, but Lisa was unwilling. She even made some passive-aggressive comments about how difficult it would be to cater to every little whim, which felt like a direct jab at Emma and me. The wedding date came closer, and the tension in the family grew. My parents were caught in the middle, and some cousins have expressed frustration at Lisa's rigidity. I stuck to my position and told Lisa I wouldn't be there if Emma wasn't included. She replied by saying that she understood my choice, but that I was making it all about Emma, and that I was choosing to be difficult. I didn't attend the wedding, and I haven't spoken to Lisa since. My daughter was deeply hurt because she wanted to celebrate with her aunt, but I tried to explain that sometimes people don't make the right choices. Now, some family members have reached out to say I was too harsh and should have put aside my feelings for the sake of family harmony. Others say Lisa was unreasonable for excluding a child who is part of the family. I'm left wondering if I overreacted or if I was right to stand my ground. So, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she excluded my daughter due to her allergies and her dislike of kids. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.